Hello and welcome back to the Added Time podcast. A new season of football has begun. We're back after our very popular pre-season predictions, and I've got to say, I already want to make some changes. I mean, it's a bit pointless doing them before the transfer window's closed, but that's what you set yourself up for when you get them in early. I'm Tiers Combra as usual. We're at the Uni House now, guys, so a new podcast location. It does mean that we are without James Ward today, but he will be back for future episodes. Don't you worry. Just a bit of a schedule mishap. But we have got Harry Martin here, as usual. Harry Martin, how have you been enjoying the football?
Well, I've absolutely loved having the Premier League and Championship back, which we will get into both. And yeah, it's just incredible for it to be back, to be honest. Just really exciting times. And it's just great to have football back on the screens, giving me something to do and talk about in my life. So yeah, just unreal, Tiss.
Yeah, we had a nice day watching the football here in the house. Bit of F1 as well. If anyone wants a spin-off F1 podcast, we could have the big man Nick Sumner in for one of those episodes if there's demand for it. I know some of you have been calling for it, but let's get right into the football and let's talk about the match of the weekend. It can go no further than Liverpool versus Leeds, Harry. 4-3 Liverpool in the end, but what was it? A shambolic defending performance, or just two great teams attacking and just really coming off?
I think on Leeds' part, it's just some shocking defending. Maybe Koch looked a bit out of place. Not exactly Ben White standard currently, and I think they will miss him. But also, I think on Leeds' side, they just proved how good they are on the attack. I think sometimes what let them down, they do need to just slow that press down a bit against teams with a bit more quality. They're not playing Wiggins and Stokes anymore. Like, these players have got quality and they will beat their press. So I think they are definitely vulnerable defence. But you saw like the quality they got in that Jack Harrison goal. I think people can say there was mistakes made there, but that was quality from him. And I think that's just the quality they've got in the squad. And they will score goals against anyone. I think people know that. I think it's just a mix of both. But Liverpool, quite lucky to be fair. Although I do think they were both penalties. Bit annoying that the game. I think a draw would have been a fair result in that game. So yeah, I'd definitely be quite sad if I was a Leeds fan. So what do you think, Tis?
Yeah, just a really enjoyable game. I saw a great tweet on Twitter from BA Analytics. If anyone follows him, he's one of my favourite Twitter people, and he did put some stats out. A lot of people likened it to how Norwich really win at Liverpool last year, and they ultimately had more shots on target than Leeds did. Stop Liverpool having more shots on target. I mean, so statistically, Norwich played better than Leeds did, but Leeds were a bit more clinical in this game, and I think if you're a team down the bottom of the season and you need to be clinical, take your chances, and Leeds did look like they'll be just all right as long as they can sort out the defence. But it was against Liverpool, who were the runaway leaders. But I mean, it was a great start to the Premier League. But what kicked off the Premier League was one of the 3-0 winners, two 3-0 winners this weekend, Harry. Arsenal and Leicester. Who looked the more impressive, would you say?
It has to be Arsenal. It regrets me to say, but yeah, I think Leicester were quite lucky to be honest. Not lucky, but they. I wasn't too impressed with them. First half performance, I think they were pretty lackluster. I think all their goals came to in the second half. If I may be mistaken, but I think I'm correct. Two late penalties as well. So, but Arsenal looked incredible to be honest. And it regrets me to say Willian was quite good, but he is good on his day. His inconsistency is why many Chelsea fans were quite happy to see the back of him. So, yeah, he is brilliant on his day, and I'm not denying that. But his inconsistency will show. But again, Aubameyang proving why he is one of the greatest strikers in the Premier League with what a finish that was. I think you'll agree with me, Tiers. Just an incredible finish. And Gabriel looked really good, to be fair. And people were saying that he was sort of the worst one out of him and Saliba. So I guess we'll see. But he is young, and I don't expect him to play really well. But one mention I've got to say, I'll let you speak about him after. Xhaka, what a turnaround he's done since he got booed off the pitch and swore at the fans. Like, what a turnaround that is his career. Arteta's definitely revolutionised him. So I'll be interested to see what you think of Xhaka.
Yeah, I mean, he's always had ability. It's just about consistently performing and getting the mistakes out of his game. But I think I saw another tweet. Xhaka has made no mistakes, like, for the longest time of any Premier League player or something. So, I mean, another player in the Arsenal midfield I'm quite shocked about is Mohamed El Neni. I mean, what a comeback he's had. I mean, I thought he was definitely going to be off this season, but somehow Arteta's looked to just bring him in, and if Thomas Partey doesn't come in, then maybe El Neni is the man at the central defensive midfield spot for Arsenal. Yeah, both teams looking good. and we both did have Arsenal in our top four picks. Sky's the limit for them. Another team, another game on the Saturday, who my preseason predictions really look bad now after the free signings of Callum Wilson, Ryan Fraser, and Jamal Lewis from Newcastle. They look a different entity now, and West Ham also just look completely, down on their feet. It looks like Declan Rice could be off to Chelsea, and just the Tarkovsky bids are not coming out. They were interested in Ben Rama, who looks like he's going to go to Crystal Palace now. West Ham look really in the mud, Harry. What do you think?
Yeah, turmoil there. I don't know whether you've seen, guys, but some guy called Super Agent in the Know or Secret Agent was on a Spencer Owen live stream saying that he's got news that the club's going to be got new owners by the end of the year. So, God, you've got to wait and see what's happened. Yeah, but they are in turmoil, and I think bloody West Ham fans are kidding themselves. Their owners are inept, and they think that we're going to pay 80 million for Declan Rice. I think you've seen how shroud we are in the market, and I think we will get him. And that's your fault. You should keep hold of him, but your owners are just ridiculous. I can see something happening where you'll hold out, we'll do a bid right at the end, and you'll be left with nothing, which could be really bad for West Ham. I don't know what's going on at that club, but what a debut for Jeff Hendrick, assist and a goal, and what a goal it was as well. I think Newcastle are dark horses this year. I'm quite confident they'll get a top half finish. To be fair, and all the people saying Bruce was Bruce done really well, to be honest. And I think we will move on to this. But what about your team, Brentford? Very sad.
Yeah, going into what else happened on the Saturday, looking at the Championship now, we were just story of our season every season. We had the most XG out of any team this weekend in the Championship. We hit the woodwork 3 times, and we just couldn't click and find that goal. I wouldn't be too downbeat on us just at the moment because this happens all the time. And the chances were there. If we were to score loads of them, then people would have coming out this weekend saying, wow, Brentford are back and they look even better than last season. As long as we can just start, we're making the chances. It's just about finishing them now. So, I wouldn't be too worried. The goalkeeping situation looks like it could be better, as it looks like Arsenal are signing Alex Runarsson from Dijon instead of David Raya. So it looks like he will be staying now. Ben Rama, as I said, is off to Palace, and I think good luck to him. But I think Salmon Godosh from Amiens is looking like it's on the horizon, certainly, and he could be just as good as Ben Rama from the looks of some of the compilations on YouTube. But yeah, just a disappointing game, but nothing to worry about too much. We got a nice game against Huddersfield this weekend, which we really should kickstart our season with. Elsewhere on Saturday in the Championship, Wickham got off to a poor start against Rotherham. There were some other great games. Another one of the promoted sides, Coventry, just not about holding out against Bristol City. But one of the results, which was quite eye-catching, was Nottingham Forest losing to QPR. QPR have lost Eze, of course, but maybe the signing of the weekend in the Championship, Rob Dickie at the back, he really did help them out. And what do you think for Forest now this season after that loss?
Well, Tiz, I was absolutely shocked. Forest was my nap of the day for Saturday, and I'm yeah. What's going on there? Maybe it is the manager. I think you've been quite critical of him in the past, and they've definitely got the players. I think what have they got? Lyle Taylor and Graben up top. Graben is easily the most consistent goal scorer in the Championship division, and I think it's quite criminal that they've managed to lose to QPR, who do have slightly historically ropey defence and have just lost their best player from last year. So yeah, very very strange result, and I was shocked to see it. And I think Forest maybe it should be a bit worried, to be fair. And maybe we'll see managerial change if this keeps up, because their squad should not be performing as badly as it did at the weekend.
Yeah, good weekend for the relegated sides, though. Norwich won 1-0 against Huddersfield. Watford beat Middlesbrough 1-0. Quite unimpressive, though, but João Pedro looked very good and could be the next Richarlison. And Bournemouth, again, they didn't look amazing against Blackburn, but they got a win. Dan Juma with the winner. And I think we will be saying his name quite a few times this season because he did look a bit of a player and could have a breakout season for Bournemouth, but they all look good. Some of the shocks of the weekend for me, Derby. I know, Harry, you are not very impressed with them after their performance against Barrow. They lost 2-0 at home to Reading, and so did Cardiff at home to my tip to get relegated at the bottom, Sheffield Wednesday. A word on those results?
Oh, Derby, I'll be critical of them to the moon and back. I watched the Barrow game and they were absolutely shocking. The passing was just so slow, lethargic. They didn't seem to have much creativity, although they do have a lot of good players. I think Max Bird, Louis Sibley, they just didn't really. But maybe that's just because they're young, lack of experience in the squad potentially. I think was it Lowe and Bogle selling them maybe a massive mistake for them. And yeah, I really am not impressed with Derby, and I think they'll be finishing 12th or 13th mid-table because I'm, don't know, just not too convinced with them. And Reading are a good side. I think a lot of people are underestimating them as well. Lucas Jow with an assist and a goal, and obviously they've got Puskas, another good player. I think they've got a good solid side, and yeah, I'm just not impressed with Derby. I think maybe you, the Gurus, might disagree. Let us know in the comments. But yeah, for me, I'm not impressed with Derby. I don't know about you, Tiers.
Yeah, I tipped them to be up and around there, but that was of course before they sold Lowen Bogle. So the fullbacks are now, I think, Andre Wisdom and someone else I can't remember, but that is just not as good, and they are going to have to spend some money in the market, I think, from those sales. But let's get on to something I'll do right now, which is who do we think is the signing of the season after that weekend? Obviously, not the season, but who was the signing that impressed us most in the weekend? I'll allude to Everton's 1-0 win against Tottenham. James Rodriguez and Allen having standout performances in a game where they just looked on top against Tottenham. And if they can, Richarlison missed a good chance. If they can take more of those chances, they could have been well clear. I'll put two to you, Harry, who I think could be the signs of the weekend. Morgan Gibbs-White, who got the winner for Swansea against Preston, and Allen, who I thought just bossed that game against Tottenham.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Gibbs White for me. I always thought he was incredible when he came on for Wolves, and I was quite not sad, but like quite strange decision they seemed to let him go. Maybe bringing in Fabio Silva for 40 million was the reason they needed to make space in the squad. But yeah, I think he's got bags of quality. Swansea, when they got rid of Brewster and Gallagher, people may be worrying that they'll lose that. But Gibbs White looks like another incredible loan signing for them. And yeah, I'm very, very impressed with Swansea, and I think I tipped them to come second or third. So hopefully they'll keep it up. And yeah, I do really believe in that squad. They do look really good. Yeah, the other shock result, I don't know if we did briefly mention it though. Cardiff losing. I really thought they'd kick on there. That great end to the season, getting into the playoffs. So I thought that was a very strange result. But yeah, my signing of the season so far is Gibbs White. And yes, Allen is a great shout. I thought he was just incredible against Spurs. He just does all the things that you don't really keep an eye out. He just wins the ball back, simple passes, and he never does anything wrong. I think he is going to be an incredible signing for Everton.
Yeah, I think James will get a lot of the plaudits for the more on the eye things he does, but Allen definitely was the man of match in that game for me, and is my signing of the season so far. Let's get into a bit of the European action that happened at the weekend, Harry. A very, very controversial game between Paris Saint-Germain and Marseille. PSG have now lost both their opening games. Could there be a title race on in Ligue 1 this season? But let's, of course, get on to more serious matters. Potential racist abuse from Alvaro to Neymar. This is alleged. I'm sure there'll be a comment from the French FA soon. 5 red cards were shown. Do you have an opinion on the matter?
I think if he is proven guilty, I think there should be like season bans, or I think someone suggested in the contracts of players maybe they do a clause where if you get caught doing racist abuse on the pitch, you instantly get your contract terminated. And I think that probably would be a good thing. I don't know if we want this to get out of the game, we have to take a zero tolerance like status on racism. And the way Thomas Tuchel came out of the match, not really backing Neymar, is very worrying to be honest. And I think what's Neymar got to get out of line about it? He was already getting sent off. I think it's a very, very strange decision for some of the PSG players to not come out and back him. And I think if evidence is provided of him, Alvaro doing that, he should be get kicked out of Marseille. But it's definitely going to be interesting the next time these two sides meet if there is no action taken.
Yeah, I echo everything Harry said, and I think Alvaro should just have his contract terminated. I mean, we've seen in the past racist abuse from players and just nothing really done about it other than the game's ban. I mean, you look at Leeds yesterday, they have a convicted racial abuser in Kiko Casilla, who racially abused Jonathan Lecco back in September of last year. It came out that he did do it, and Leeds have stood by him and still got him on their bench yesterday. I just think it's terrible, and there should be major sanctions for this other than just getting a 10-game ban or something, because it's not going to take it out of you other than taking your salary away and something more serious. But yeah, let's get into more positive news. Transfers, everyone loves them. Big news from Aston Villa at the moment. Bertrand Traore and Emiliano Martinez, they look imminent. You were quite downbeat on Aston Villa before the season. Does this change your mind?
I think it does, to be fair. I think Martinez, what a sign. I think a lot of Arsenal fans were actually saying they prefer him to Leno towards the end of the season. I was like, that's big praise. And yeah, I think that's a great signing keeper. I think it's Tom Heaton the one going out the door, and he's aging, I think. And Martinez looked incredible at the end of the season. So yeah, I think that's a great sign. They're also linked with close to a deal for Milot Rushaka as well from Werder Bremen, who is literally their star player and one of the only reasons they stayed up last year in the Bundesliga. So if they get Traore and him, and they've already got Grealish, a lot of creativity in that team, and goals with Watkins as well, which I think they were lacking last year. They were way too dependent on Grealish. So yeah, I think sadly I am going to have to change my mind on Aston Villa. I'm still not convinced by Dean Smith in the Premier League, to be honest. I think his tactics have come undone and they play some very boring football. I'm not even sure what their sort of philosophy is over there. But yeah, these signings are very good. I quite like Matty Cash. Maybe it's a bit overpriced, but I think anything's an upgrade on El Mohammadi. So yeah, I'm quite impressed with their signings. I don't know about you, Tiers, but yeah, I think maybe they're overpaying, but they are good players at the end of the day.
Yeah, they also signed Ollie Watkins, who is my tip for one of the breakout stars of the season, and I'd put a bet on him featuring in England's European Championship squad at the end of the season. Just running through some of the big transfer rumours, Sorloth looks like he could be off to Spurs after a great season at Trabzonspor. That would be a really good backup to Kane, of course, who's got some real big injury problems. Some sensational news I saw earlier. Gareth Bale was an option for Manchester United if they don't get Sancho. I'm hesitantly talking about that because that just seems like one of those rumours which just is for the papers to get some clicks. Of course, Said Benrahma, I've mentioned it a couple times, looks set for Palace, and if they had him, Wilfred Zaha and Eze in the same team, again, I'm going to have to backtrack like Harry about having Palace in the bottom three. Of course, they got off to a good win as well at the weekend. And some of the other big news, Lautaro Martinez looks like he's not going to be joining Real Madrid. So, I mean, where does that put Real Madrid in the race for Champions League this season? But yeah, it's other than that, it's been a great weekend. Looking forward to the Chelsea-Brighton game tonight. Also, Sheffield United v Wolves, and then some EFL Cup action this week. It's nice to have the football back, of course. Hopefully next week we will have James back in the podcast studio via the power of the internet. And keep an eye on the YouTube channel. Could have some vlogs coming up about that.
I just want to say quickly, guys, yeah, look out now. Me and Tiers are living in the same house together. We might be able to get some exclusive just YouTube content out, like match previews before games, Brentford games and Chelsea games, as we do have good insight. So look forward to them because we could easily bang them out for you guys if you're interested. And we'll definitely be keeping up the championship stuff as it seems like you guys are really enjoying that. So just remember to like, subscribe, follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And yeah, have a great weekend, guys, and enjoy the football.